Hello everyone and welcome to yet another one of the off-stream cast for the GameStar HGC ANZ qualifiers. I am GL Phoenix and I'll actually be bringing Vandy in to help out with this one, as this is one of the most requested series we've had in quite some time. It is the NMD vs Milkshake series that happened in the Week 3 playoffs, and Vandy, you ready to get this show on the road?
I definitely am. Thanks for inviting me here, Hunter. So let's get this party started.
Absolutely. So we do have NMD on the blue side. We have Hiccup on Garrosh, Lahal on Rhaegar, Physics on Tyrande, Vikarak on Illidan, and Ninja is on the Li Ming.
And then on the red side, we have Team Milkshake with Magic Gnome on Malthael, Coffee Clubber on Greymane, Deceptive Smurf playing Genji, Azog the Cat on Stitches, and Crazy Dave on Malfurion.
Alright, so we didn't really get to see how the draft developed, but just look at both these teams. We've got some really interesting things coming up on both sides.
We do. I mean, if we try to look a little bit closer at the comps that each team is trying to run, so Towers of Doom, where you can really excel is by having poke, as well as being able to capitalize on choke. That's where Stitches can really fall into place. So I'm already seeing synergy between that Stitches and Malfurion. They really want to open up and let Genji and Greymane do their thing. Malthael is there, of course, for the solo lane.
Yeah, on the other side for NMD, we do have Garrosh with a lot of follow-up to any kind of pickup. We've been seeing it over the past couple of weeks. The Garrosh, those groundbreakers into the Wrecking Ball, have been catching a lot of teams out by surprise, especially early on in the games.
Exceptionally so.
Oh, there
And
we
I mean,
go, yeah, as Azog is going to get flipped back in, taking a lot of damage, but the follow-up is just not really there just yet, and he does have his team to help himself get out of this, but that's what we've been seeing, Bernie. Garrosh can catch some people out when they're not really expecting it.
exactly. All I was going to add to that was, especially at level 7, if you take the talent where you can wrecking ball your allies away into safety, it just opens up for more plays. And as we sort of said, Garrosh, he's just full of just
We
plays.
had a kill on top side, but Lahal gets hooked on the bottom side as the follow-up CC was there from the Malfurion, but the damage was just not there. But already a nice kill on the top side going over to Magic Gnome.
Vikarak, he falls in that lane, and that's just going to punish them. That's a little bit of lost experience. Malthael, as I said, picked to be the dominating solo laner. However, all Vikarak needs to do is survive that lane. It will be tough, however, because the Reaper's Mark can tick down through Illidan's evasion.
Yeah, Malthael is not a fun solo lane to go up against. He does reasonably well into pretty much any matchup, but on the bottom side, looks like we're trying to get a bit of an invade coming out from NMD. They've taken their own Sapper camp, and now it looks like they want their opponents as well.
They do. They're going for the aggressive plays here. But look at this. There's already that rotation coming out from Azog.
Oh, on the top side, Magic Gnome is actually going to fall to Vikarak, so he gets the kill back. So in the end, it is going to be even on that top side, just trading blows left and right. As Deceptive Smoke takes a massive Arcane Orb, forced away.
He
And
does.
altars
So
are
what
coming up
happened?
now.
Well, yeah, that's good that the altars are coming up, but I think where it punishes him was that Magic Gnome fell. I like that Azog was able to flank around. They actually, NMD, they had to retreat back off that Sapper camp while all the action in top was taking place. So successfully defended their side of the map.
Yeah, and because of that death on the top side, Magic Gnome falling, the altar on the red side of the map was taken, and this is allowing NMD to try and get the most out of this, but Vikarak is going to get caught out. There's just the massive rotation coming up from Milkshake. They will manage to get at least maybe one of these. Gets interrupted, and looks like they want to keep on going with this stall.
They're trying, they want it. Like you said, it's just, it's almost unheard of to get
The
three
flip
altars.
onto Magic Gnome. He's under the towers. He's not able to get out just in time, but the Soul Rip is enough to keep himself sustained, and he does actually end up living, as the Li Ming is going to be the first one to fall in this fight, and this could very well just force NMD away from the point and potentially just give up this altar over to Milkshake.
That aggressive positioning. Vikarak is going in for the dive now. He's looking, but it's enough time. The stall is enough. The body block is enough. This time, we've got Milkshake. They finally get an altar for all their troubles.
Yeah, it was looking a little bit hairy, losing 2 of those altars very early on, but they were able to get there just in time to secure at least one of them, make it not nearly as disastrous as it was looking to be. But the Sapper camp on the top side is going to be picked up by the Malthael, and there's a very interesting lane that we'll be seeing between this the Illidan and the Malthael. They've just been trading for blow essentially.
They really have been. As I said, it's just who can out-sustain the other. And I mean, it's tough for Vikrak because he needs to be able to utilize Illidan's passive with that lifesteal. If we turn our attention to the bottom lane,
The
big
nice
Luna Flare onto Azog.
Yeah, the follow-up just not necessarily there, as it looks like Hiccup is going to take a lot of damage in return, but all that passive armor is going to be helping out. And in the end, it's just going to be trading back and forth, but very aggressive play coming out from NMD, wanting to invade as much as possible so early on in this game.
It's showing that NMD, they value that aggression because they can make plays with that Garrus. That's what their comp is doing. The follow-up from Tyrande is there as well. However, speaking of follow-up, look at this, the invade. Very aggressive coming out from
the
Milkshake.
flip onto Deceptive Smurf. He's in under the towers, but he does not have any follow-up damage coming his way. He will end up getting back to his team, and the point did go over to the side of Milkshake, and the fight is going to keep on going. Meanwhile, on the top side, the Malthael ended up dropping to the Illidan as the Leeming falls. The Genji going to be able to get those resets going, but it does not have enough. But they will be happy with that one kill and the pressure coming out from that Sapper camp.
The Sapper camp is there, and it's good that Vikrak has also rotated to the middle lane, trying to clear out two waves while there was so much action down at bot. You can really see, what I've noticed time and time again is Hiccup, he's getting the ground break, sure, and then he's getting the Wrecking Ball. It's great positioning, however, it's on Genji. All he's able to do, Deceptive Smurf, he just uses Deflect and then gets out of there with Swift Strike. It's really punishing him. He needs to get a target that they can blow up. Otherwise, essentially, he's just blowing cooldowns with no return.
Absolutely, and you'd ideally want to be getting onto that Malfurion with those Groundbreaker Wrecking Ball combos, but Crazy Dave has been positioning so safely, especially when it comes to the rotations, that there just hasn't really been the opportunity for it.
Exactly right. It's just all about knowing where you need to be. So use the tanks, use that nice front line you've got. Use as well how much mobility that comes out of Greymane and as well as Genji. If, however, say Malfurion, who's joined the fight, if he's getting Wrecking Ball now, this could be a totally different thing.
Absolutely, as we do have the next two altars spawning. It looks like there's going to be more contention over the top side rather than the bottom one. We do have Physics and Magic Gnome starting to make their way down there, but both of these heroes having ample amount of delaying tools, and both sides are actually just going to start moving towards the lanes to try and get some push going, trying to get some kind of advantage elsewhere, because so far the altar game isn't really working. But on the bottom side, the Malthael is now in a bit of a precarious position. Does use the Wraith Strike to try and juke out Ninja, but this is going to allow Ninja to start working on the point as the flare does land onto Magic Gnome. He does manage to get himself away, but the fight is going to keep on going. Vikrak is dropping low, but so is Coffee Clubber. He gets thrown into the tower, takes so much damage. The follow-up is there. He is going to be the first one to go down in this fight. The first of those altars did go over to the side of NMD, and it looks like they're trying to get the second one as Vikrak takes a lot of damage. The point was delayed as well as Vikrak is going solo. He does go down, and now it's time to see if Milkshake can start to turn this fight around as they keep the damage flowing, but Magic Gnome is just taking so much in return.
They are, but look at how low NMD are.
Oh,
even though they have double
Genji.
support.
He wants to get those resets. He just does not have it in him just yet. That everyone is so low. Nice hook onto Physics though.
So it's just interesting. Even though they've got double supports on the side of NMD, it just looks like they're running out of steam. Oh, if that had landed, if that Groundbreaker landed on Deceptive Smurf, perhaps they could have gotten another kill there. So very, very even in terms of, I guess, how the fights are going. I mean, we should be seeing that the longer the fight's gone, it should actually favor NMD. However, I'm starting to see a little bit of the opposite, and I guess a lot of that's coming to the conservative disengagement coming out of Milkshake. They know when they need to back off, but they also know when they can poke.
Yeah, absolutely. They had the tools to poke. They had the mobility tools to keep themselves in these fights. Yeah, you can have as much sustain as you want, but if you just keep on taking... Oh, it's a nice Wrecking Ball goes in, and the charge, or the hunt goes in as Greymane is going to be the first victim of this fight. As Crazy Dave is taking so much, the Wrecking Ball keeps him in amongst it, as the Magic Gnome is doing actually a decent amount of work with his Tormented Souls, but there's been too much damage done already as the Genji is trying to get something to happen with that Dragon Blade, but doesn't get much done, and in the end, it's going to be a 2 for 3 in favor of NMD.
Great stuff by NMD. This was the fight that they wanted to have, essentially. So it did go in favor. 3 kills picked up. And I guess it's all about keeping Ninja alive. As long as Ninja has mana, it's 1 kill. That's all it takes for either team, right? We've got the reset duo. They've been split up, 1 apiece. So Genji on the side of Milkshake, and we've got Ming on the side of NMD. So it's all about getting that resets and then trying to snowball the team fight based off that.
Yeah, and we're starting to see these fights be really drawn out, and essentially what we're waiting for is just the ticking point in these fights. We want one person to go down and then just have that snowball happen. But on the top side, Magic Gnome is trying to take this camp, is getting a lot of pressure coming out of Vicarak, because he is going to keep himself sustained with those soul rips, but with the rest of NMD coming up, has to be very careful with his positioning, as Physics, he wants to go in. Oh, he's very close to taking out Magic Gnome, just doesn't have enough in the tank, but nice rotation up there to at least force them away, as we are getting our next altar spawn.
We are, and I mean, I'm interested. So we're getting into, I guess, the early to mid-game phase, and I'm actually seeing the bell towers. None of them really look like they're falling. NMD, they've taken out that front wall in the bottom, but it comes down to when your death timers start to get a little bit longer, you can actually push through, get the bell towers, and that's when I believe this map really opens up, because you can start to get some insane altar value.
Oh, on the top side, Hiccup taking the curse bullet, and he's going so low, but with the rest of the team there, as the Genji goes in, does a decent amount of damage to the whole of the team, as Coffee Club, it looks like he wants to be the next target, as he gets Groundbreaker in, but he is not going to fall, as both teams just disengage and work their way towards this bottom altar, as a nice Tormented Souls is going to force away a lot of NMD, as it does a decent amount of damage and keeps himself sustained in this fight, as Crazy Dave gets interrupted on the point. But with the positioning, it looks like NMD have to be very careful coming into this, as a nice Wrecking Ball goes in, and they do taunt up the Greymane. It takes so much damage, as it's actually going to just be the Dragon Blade just ripping it through the whole of NMD. The hook goes in, but it was already rooted up, but in the end it is going to be a 3-for-1, this time in favor of Milkshake.
I thought, if you told me at that fight, based off the Wrecking Ball, that it would have gone in favor of NMD. The fact was that they took so long to kill Malthael, even with Warlord's challenge going out and locking him down for so long. That was the small window that Deceptive Smurf needed to bring out the Dragon Blade and just lay into them, like you said, once one kill followed, as we saw. That's all Genji really needs to open up that team fight. Really nice stuff by Milkshake to be able to turn that one.
Yeah, and now we're on even footing. Core strength is dead on even. Experience is about as even as you can get at this point in the game. As it's been even the whole way through, and it's just been trading blows just back and forth, and this could really go anywhere. But I do believe we know the result of this, but it's still very interesting to see how it all plays out, isn't it?
Of course it is. I mean, that's why we love going back. We love seeing how it is. And I mean, if I also just look further, Ancestral Heal was actually blown in the first phase of the fight back in the mid lane. Yeah. If the Ancestral Heal had been up by Lahal, could have been a totally different story. As I said, you deny Genji that kill, Deceptive Smurf, he's stuck up there, and then it's still a 5v4. But without that Ancestral Heal, the backline's so squishy with the Genji just raining down blows with the Dragon Blade.
Yeah, now we get the massive 5-man rotation coming down from Milkshake, just trying to force away NMD from that bell tower, which is dropped very low thanks to a couple of supper camps just being pushed in there, and we're getting yet another altar spawn. Yet again, it's just a single altar, so it looks like we're going to get some more brawling, Bandy.
Vicarak, he has taken the hunt as his heroic of choice, meaning that he will be pushing hard and then looking to join these fights through the hunt. We know it has been changed recently, upped from 60 seconds to 100. He still, however, can reduce it based off his passive. So just always need to anticipate, be aware of when he uses it. There should be a short delay, I guess, till when it's next up.
Absolutely is. Oh, a nice Groundbreaker, but because of the terrain there, Coffee Clubber doesn't get caught out by the Wrecking Ballers. It looks like we get a hook onto Hiccup, takes so much damage immediately. A nice Warlord's challenge, and the Ancestral comes in at the brilliant time, and now the re-engage is going in onto Crazy Dave, who takes so much, has to use the Ice Block, as it looks like we're getting a massive engagement coming out from Magic Gnome, doing so much work with the Tormented Souls, but it looks like yet again it's going to be the Genji just slashing and dashing his way through the team fight. It's just trading back and forth, and it looks like it might end up going in favor of Milkshake. They have a lot of low members, but they have the key members alive, and that's what's mattering in this point. As it looks like it is just going to go to Milkshake, and they will be able to get a nice self-cleanse using the Indomitable to keep himself alive, but looks like he's almost going to go down. He does manage to get the Genji's. A nice Sentinel comes out, takes out the Greymane as well, and sure, the altar went over to the side of Milkshake, but they ended up giving up a little bit more than they should have at the end there.
They really did. It was hanging around with such low health, but really playing with death. I mean, Hiccup, he was saying, what are you doing? In that great snipe by the Physics, using the Sentinel, getting massive value out of that. I mean, that's what Tyrande can do now. She's a bit of a strange one now. She is almost, I think, more of a carry than a support these days, and very, very formidable. And when I saw Vicarat going into that back line onto Crazy Dave, he did not have Twilight Dreamer. So talking about heroics not being up, this time it was Crazy Dave, their support, Milkshake support, that did not have the Twilight Dream. If he came out of that Ice Block and Twilight Dream, 100% they would have been able to take down more members.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting because he was in a really precarious position and he was in that ice block and it's kind of the play you're expecting to see him come out of the ice block and then just blast everyone with with the Twilight, but it just wasn't happening.
Down.
He just dropped it. As you mentioned, it could have very well turned that fight, well, made that fight even more convincing for the side of Milkshake, but now we have NMD controlling this bottom side of the map. They have the bell tower in their favor. They also have a Sapper Cam pushing in, and this is something that Milkshake are going to have to at least try and contest. As the Wrecking Ball comes in, the Malthael is dropped into the team as he's using a lot of his Tormented Souls just onto that Garage, and he is going to fall. Both of them, actually. It's going to be a 1-for-1. And in the end, this is going to... Oh, actually, a nice hook onto Lahal as he's going to be the next target. A nice... Lunar Flare locks down Crazy Dave, but in the end, it's just not enough healing, not enough sustain, not enough durability on the side of NMD to stick around in these fights, and this could give Milkshake the opportunity to take this bell tower back.
Milkshake, they're looking for it. The fact that they picked up another kill is great. However, that just leaves Vicarat to push. As I said, he will be looking to capitalize on the split push, get Milkshake to respond, otherwise risk losing a bell tower. It's just, it's great to see the decisions at play here. And with this 3 altar phase, this is when things are going to get really rough.
A nice hook onto Physics, and he is going to drop immediately. Not enough to keep himself alive there, especially when you have those 3 members wailing away at you. And in the end, it looks like the bell tower did go over in time for Milkshake to grab those 2 altars and get a nice 8 shots onto the, or I think it might have been at least 7 shots onto the core of NMD, and they're in a pretty good position right now.
Yeah, the fact that they managed to win their fight, take down their bell tower before this altar phase, really saved them. Otherwise, if NMD had capitalized on that, as you said, 6 shots would have been fired over. Sorry, 5 shots would have been fired over on the side of NMD. So NMD looking to get back their losses. They're actually starting the boss here, risky play. I mean, they're forecasting, they're foretelling where is Milkshake going to be. We just saw them in the bottom lane. Looks like they want to escort their sappers in. Let's trade. However, look at this by Deceptive Smurf. Seeing something is up, he's going to be the scout.
Yeah,
will this be a bluff?
I'm not sure there's anyone on the side of Milkshake who can actually get in there, so the Genji being very aware of where the rest of his team is, not going to try and overextend for that, but this is going to allow all of Milkshake to push down on this bottom side, and now they flip over that bell tower. They have that room to play with, and we're just waiting for this next altar phase to come up and ready for the brawling to recommence, I guess.
Trading objectives was quite smart. I mean, on the side of NMD, they know that
they do get the hook onto
time.
Ninja, and he cops the cursed bullet, but he does manage to get out of the roots as the taunt goes down onto the Malthael. He's taking a lot of damage. He's getting flipped and tossed around, and he is not in a very good position. He's going to be the first one to fall in this fight, as it looks like it's a good start getting the hook onto Ninja, but they just weren't able to get that kill. Oh, Indomitable at the perfect time coming out of this garage.
Perfect cleanses going out and really denying what Azog's trying to bring. Lahal as well, he's been doing great on the healing. Where I've really seen him struggle is because Touch of Death was picked up by Malthael. We've seen a couple of Ancestrals, they look like they've fallen flat. No, it was because of that debuff.
In the mid lane now. On Coffee Clubber in the mid lane as they managed to pick him off. The Hunt coming in really well as the follow-up CC coming out from that Tyrande. And yeah, you don't need too much more when you have at least a full couple of seconds of CC, and there's not really a hell of a lot you can do.
These kills now means that they're both on track to hit 20. NMD have a small window where they should be able to get 20 first. They're not in a position where they can force anything. They're too preoccupied with trying to get their bell tower back. Vicarat waiting to cap until said bell tower is achieved, making sure that they can get maximum shots.
Absolutely. Just not rushing things, just playing it as cautiously as possible, just trying to get the maximum out of every play that they can, and doing quite well at that.
That's what you got to do. Sometimes it's not about the panic, it's about taking stock of your situation. He knew no one was going to come contest. And I mean, they couldn't. They were still respawning. So Sap is now being traded. It's going to come down to these next few fights. And like I said, where people can get the bell tower, start pushing them down, it almost becomes a cat and mouse. Both teams have got quite nice wave clear. So I'm not too worried about that. Like, the Sappers don't seem to be posing too much of a threat. It's whether they can use the Sappers to create siege pressure, and then whether a hook or a groundbreaker is going to... Sorry, a Wrecking Ball is going to come out. That's going to be how these fights get started.
And that's going to be the start. It is the Wrecking Ball, but no real follow-up just yet, as it looks like he was trying to bait him as Hiccup is taking so much damage. The Ancestral comes in, but as you mentioned, all that healing debuff is really helping out, as a nice Twilight manages to silence a lot of the front line, and there's absolutely nothing left on the side of NMD, and they're getting cleaned up in this fight. Milkshake just taking it home.
It's almost like Magic Gnome was asking to get flipped, so he knew what the outcome would be. He could apply that debuff. It's like baiting out the Ancestral, almost like they're planning a couple steps ahead. If that was planned, I mean, that's very impressive strategizing on the side of Milkshake. And Azog, he did try to use the helping hand on Magic Gnome, however, it didn't even matter, as we saw. They were able to turn the tides, even though that helping hand whiffed.
And when all that healing is down the drain, there's really not much that NMD has in the lineup, really. I mean, you want to be making the most of this double support composition and trying to get as much out of it, but we're seeing it now, it's just not really working out, and Milkshake are really just starting to clean up these fights later on as we get those damage numbers really starting to stack up. It's really hard for NMD to deal with.
Crazy Dave is waiting, same thing, he's just waiting for the channel. That's going to be a healthy 7 shots being fired into NMD's core. This is like exactly what I said. Every time that they've got these 3 bell towers up as well, 1 shot will be firing on. So they're on a timer now, NMD. They have to respond. Yeah,
Ninja having to use every trick in the book to try and take down this bottom bell tower just to stop those shots from going on in onto their core, but he may pay for it with his life. But it looks like the team is there in time, as the Grandman is actually going to fall in this fight. Looked like it was going to be Milkshake getting Ninja out of position, but now it looks like it's just going to be the return instead. It looks like Crazy Dave is going to go down. A nice Twilight Dream, but it's going to be for nothing.
The cavalry's here is what NMD say as they rescue Ninja, which is great stuff. As I said, they were on such a precarious timer. Only 2 shots remaining now, and so much pressure still commanded by Milkshake, even with their team members down. Boss is also up in less than 30 seconds, so that will be open, and you can bet that if Milkshake or NMD, whoever makes a play for that, there's going to need to be some congestion around that one.
Yeah, and nice Sentinel managed to hit 2, but now we see, as you mentioned, it's only 2 shots left, and that is pretty much any Sapper camp being pushed in, being escorted into the base, but looks like they're not wanting to overextend on that top side of the map. And yeah, it looks like it's like NMD are starting to stabilize at least a bit. They do have they have equalized the bell towers, but they being just even at this point is just not really enough for NMD right now.
No, like you said, especially because alters are up now, boss is up as well. So Milkshake, now that all members are up, that little loo that they got from having those deaths is finally up now. NMD, they need to make a call. What are they going to do? How are they going to spread their resources? There's 3 things that they need to be aware of. So middle altar, bottom altar, and boss. All of these things are win conditions at the moment for Milkshake. Boss has been started. Yeah,
Milkshake just not wanting to bother with any of the altar player. They're just going straight for the boss, and they're absolutely shredding it with this Mouth Ale, doing so much work, and Vigorok has to make a play to get on there. He does get there in the end, but it gets silenced immediately, and there's absolutely nothing he can do. And that is actually going to be that first game going over to Milkshake.
Congrats, great game played by Milkshake. Every time NMD tried to engage, Milkshake were rebuffing at every attempt, as we could see, and they did not get any real value out of that double support. What is it, Touch of Death from Malthiel, just really negating any of that healing that was coming out, and them almost baiting the plays because it was all on Garrosh. His armor can only do so much, his passive can only take so much. So well played by the Milkshake boys.
Absolutely, and that's the end of that one, and we'll get into game 2 very soon, shortly. One of those.